don't forget the leaves. That's the name of this topic. Now, what leaves am I talking about? Well, we have a tendency to, especially when we're new to gardening, or maybe we've been gardening forever and growing certain things forever and never thought about the leaves of a lot of our fruiting plants. So, and maybe even non-fruiting plants, like, well, everything gets a fruit of some kind. But things like your beech and birch and spruce, pine and fir, what you would be talking about needles in that case, hawthorn, mulberry, maple, goji berries, moringa. Well, a lot of people know about moringa. So those are some trees. Some other things like, vines and shrubs would be like grapes, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, mango. Obviously, we don't grow that here, but mango and guava, don't grow that either, or citrus. The leaves from these trees are all edible. Figs, soursop, and so much more. Now, if there's anything I didn't mention that you don't know about or that you're curious about, all you got to do is look it up. Are the leaves from this plant edible? And you'll find out. Now, here's some more, like from maybe your vegetable garden would be things like the leaves from your squash plants, your beans, your peas. Let's see, sweet potatoes, carrots, beets, rutabaga, and turnips. So all the leaves from those, all the green parts, those are edible. And so for me, like carrot tops are one of those things that I will dehydrate up and add to my mixed greens blend, or rutabaga or beet leaves, whatever I'm growing at the time. I don't do a lot of those kind of root vegetables, but every now and then I'll grow some. And when I do, I'll typically dehydrate the leaves up and then add them to my mixed greens blend. So just remember that you can get a lot of good, okay, that's enough, buddy. You're interrupting, all right? You can get a lot of good, healthy benefits of the leaves of some of your different plants. And that goes for the flowers too, a lot of the blossoms, like your squash blossoms. Let's say you got a crud load of male flowers coming in and no females, or a crud load of female flowers and no males to pollinate them. So you're like, hey, I might as well make use of this. You can take those blossoms, and if it's a female, that includes the ovum at the bottom where your squash or your zucchini is going to grow from, and you can eat that. You can cut it up and use it in a salad. You can add it to stir fry. You can bread and fry your squash blossoms. There's so much you can use these various things for. Me, I don't tend to do that. I like to leave the flowers for my squash because I want to make sure that the bees are seeing them. So they'll know when I have both male and females blooming at the same time, ooh, we got to get in there and get to those flowers. So they'll remember. So I tend to leave them for that sake, especially since, they all have their own specific places around the area, the property here that they're growing. I want to make sure my bees come very familiar with where everything is so they can go back to it. So yes, I will leave the flowers, and I try to be careful about taking too many leaves from things like beans and peas. But now this morning I was out there picking my snow peas. And while I was doing that, I also tried to thread them back and forth through my cattle panel. And like always happens at least once, I'll break off a piece like that big of the young part. And it makes me so mad. But you know what? I don't have to throw that away. I can eat it. And I did. And it's healthy. So like your peas, those leaves, those young leaves, especially in the beans, they taste like peas and beans. They have a nice flavor, and you can add them to salads and whatnot. So I like to say this because a lot of people don't think about the leaves of some of these different things. Like, did I say mango? I said mango. Okay. So I did a video. What I've done is I linked to in the description box my whole series on herbs and more benefits and uses. And within that, I have videos where I talk about blackberry leaves. I haven't done one on blueberry leaves, but a lot of your berry leaf benefits are very similar, but they'll have a little bit of their own uniqueness. So I have one on raspberry, one on blackberry, one on mango leaves, even though I don't have a mango tree. It all started because people were kind of freaking out when I was, every now and then, I'll get somebody who freaks out when they see me making vinegar from mango peels and pits. because they'll say, oh, the peels are toxic. No, they're not. No, they're not. I've made vinegar many times. But just to double check and make sure that these, that maybe these people are right. Maybe there's some truth to it. I started doing some research. Come to find out, mango peels absolutely are edible. I've eaten them. I've eaten a bite. They're bitter and they taste terrible, but they are edible. And I know people who live in tropical climates that have mango trees, some of those places will eat the whole thing, the fruit with the peel and the kernel inside the seed, inside the pit. That is edible. So I did a video where I was talking about the peels and the leaves, because as I was researching, I found out, guess what? The leaves are also edible. But you shouldn't also assume that just because the leaves, especially let's look at berries. We know the leaves on blackberries and blueberries and mulberries and things like that, raspberries, those are edible, but you don't want to eat the leaves on your elderberries. Why? Because those can be toxic. I think you can probably cook them enough they'd be safe, but generally speaking, it's best to avoid the leaves on your elderberries. So don't assume just because another type of fruit has edible leaves, that means you can eat, the leaves from this fruit over here. Always do your own research, and it's as simple as doing this. Can I eat the leaves from this plant or that plant or that plant? Whatever it is you have growing in your garden, so you can know. Can I eat the flowers or the blossoms from this plant, that plant, or that plant? Always do your own research to be sure. But that's how I've learned through the years. It's like curiosity. Are carrot tops edible? Well, look at that. They sure are. Once I found out, and this is long before I started my channel, I started using carrot tops in a lot of things. I don't really like them added to salads or whatnot, but I find I like adding them to dishes. You can add them to soups. One of my favorite things to do with the fresh ones is to add them to, if I'm going to bake potatoes, well, not like whole potatoes, but like peeling them, cutting them up, and putting some butter on there, some spices, and I'll sprinkle over the top, onions, garlic, and then some carrot tops. Cut them up. I really like that. I really like those in there. And so, I just like to get that out there, because a lot of people, we tend to just forget about the possibility that there's other things on these plants that we're growing that we can eat. Just like me learning that calendula leaves were indeed edible when I'd first read somewhere that they weren't, that they were toxic. Come to find out, the calendula flowers and the leaves are both edible and safe. They're not going to hurt you unless, of course, you have an allergy. Do the tops taste like carrots? No, I would say it tastes more like parsley, kind of like that, a little closer flavor. That's why I wouldn't care for it in salad, because it kind of has that stronger type flavor. But dehydrated and mixed in with other greens that I then put into just about any dish I make, that's not bad. It mellows that flavor out. What is your favorite leaves to save in dehydrating? Oh, goodness, I have a lot, but probably the top ones on my list are going to be dandelion, the carrot tops, nettle, and then like blackberry and raspberry. I don't tend to add the grape leaves. I don't tend to add all those to my mixed greens anymore. I like to save those more for teas, especially the blackberry, the raspberry. I collect a lot of those leaves, but as far as just collecting to eat, to add as a mixed greens, I'm very particular about that. And then I have the other ones, leaves I collect, like the plantain or the comfrey. Those are separate. Those always stay separate. Not that you can't eat those, because you can, but I wouldn't put either one. I used to put the plantain in my mixed greens blend till I realized just how beneficial they were to help heal things. So now I save those specifically for making healing salves and soaks and whatnot. Same thing with the comfrey. So it all just depends on what those greens are. But certain ones will go in my mixed greens blend that go in all my meals. and other ones are going to be separated out in their own jars like this to use for specific things.